Hello and welcome back, internet friends. It's happened. Monster Hunter Rise is out on PC, and today I'll be reviewing it from an overall perspective, not just a PC one. And that's because I haven't actually played Rise before this. I cut my teeth on the Nintendo 3DS Monster Hunter games, but after World, well, it felt kinda hard to go back to handheld. If you want more Monster Hunter fun, consider subscribing, but either way I want you all to have it out in the comments. What weapon are you going to be maining as you play Rise? I think I might try Heavy Bowgun myself. If you are a grizzled hunter with countless hunts under your belt, or even someone who has just paid the slightest bit of attention to past games at all, the first thing you're probably going to notice with Rise is the mobility and the traversal and how different it is. Thanks to the new wire bugs, we can get a little bit of Spider-Man in our dinosaur hunting game. Traversal is forever changed, as you can swing through the air a bit, but evasion, I think that's where the big change happened. Using one of your 2 permanent bug charges, they allow you to zip back, avoiding attacks, or quickly recover from getting smacked on your ass. I think this will be a great boon to our slower greatsword and hammer bros. I'm even tempted to dust off my lance and see what it's like to not feel more or less glued to the ground. I'm also morbidly curious what crazy moves our insect glaive and dual blade hunters will be able to come up with. Beyond this, Rise seems to be functionally more Monster Hunter, and my god, I did not realize how ready for that I was. The gameplay loop of accept a quest, prepare by selecting food to eat to gain buffs to your health, defense and other things, arrive on the scene and begin tracking your target down, it's deceptively simple. It sounds repetitive, and I suppose in the most literal definition of the word, it is, but each hunt acts like a dungeon or a raid in other games. It offers you a challenge with the promise of sweet, sweet loot at the end. Not in the form of riches, although you will get money for successful hunts. No, the real draw is the monster parts that you carve off the monster after it's defeated. These parts can be used by the village blacksmith to craft weapons and armor. Crafting these armors and weapons is the main progression system that allows you to take down nastier and more challenging monsters. The other, and I'd argue might actually be more important thing that progresses, is you, the player. You learn your targets, you learn their moves, their attacks. Does this monster fly or jump really high? Is it able to turn on a dime and bite at you with surprising agility? Does it use its tail to swipe hunters behind it, or does it slam the tail down, creating a shockwave? You'll almost never be able to craft a full set of armor with the parts from a single hunt, so you have many opportunities to learn and grow, and that is incredibly satisfying. After the hunt, you will return to the hub village, and this is where I was sold on the game, where I fell in love with it. I realized something as I was watching Gaijin Hunter's new player guide on Rise. I'm coming to the point in my life where I want to lose myself in a world. Not necessarily in a hyper-realistic way like with VR, more like I want to be obsessed. My kids are getting older, and while I'm probably never going to have time to raid an MMO for 6+ hours on a work night, like back in my 20s, I need more than a Call of Duty or even a Forza Horizon. Monster Hunter Rise provides that, and it does it in a way that just oozes charm. When you eat before a hunt, the Palico cooks sing. They sing a little song and they dance. You can farm materials for crafting. Is that done in a flavorless hub farm like World of Warcraft's Warlords of Draenor Garrison? You just right-click and your materials show up after a timer? No, you send a cat in a submarine to look for honey. I never really paid much attention to these companions in Monster Hunter games before. Every once in a while, my Palico would knock me on the head and get me out of a stun, but otherwise, I forgot about them. With Rise, I'm always talking to the scouts, seeing what cool Palamutes or Palicos they have, and I'm glued to social media looking ahead at what layered armor sets and collaborations I can get to look forward to. Currently loving the pre-order ones, by the way. It's just fun riding around on a yellow lab. Oh yeah, you can ride your dog in Rise. I should have mentioned that sooner, as it's not just a gimmick. It saves time and stamina from hunt start to first engagement, and since you can drink, eat, and sharpen your weapons while riding, the time you save is actually doubled. You move faster, and you can do all the mundane research from the saddle. But before we talk about our similar recommendations, I wouldn't be doing my job if I failed to mention the game's audio. The weapon sounds are a little basic, and the monster noises aren't anything that will 100% blow your mind or change your life, but they allow you to detect what's off screen and what's coming for you, and that's more than enough. The part of the soundscape that really impacted my love of the game is the soundtrack. When I was streaming the game on release date, my wife was listening in on Twitch from her mother's house, and she commented on how mellow the soundtrack is, and she's right. Even in combat, the music just ramps up with very tribal-sounding drum beats. When you're riding or running around a level harvesting herbs or collecting bugs, it's more of a wistful feeling. For me, it's the quirky or downright silly songs in the village that put the biggest smile on my face. As someone who is looking to live and rise, so to speak, having a soothing soundscape while I go about my chores in the hub village go a long way to helping the longevity of the game for me personally. Now, the first similar recommendation that pops into my head is the Dark Souls series, specifically Dark Souls 3. Well, this obviously has some differences, especially in tone. I think Dark Souls 3 scratches the same combat itch as Monster Hunter games, and as such, there's a lot of overlap in community. While bosses aren't necessarily monsters, there are some dragons, and that stamina-based combat system will feel very familiar to fans of the Monster Hunter series, and vice versa. Now, the next one is a bit of a stretch, but the way that I play Witcher 3, it definitely gives me the same sense of pride in how much knowledge I can accumulate in fictitious or mythical monsters. A big part of Monster Hunter for me is learning the monsters, their behavior, their lore, and their weaknesses. If you're like me, then this hidden gem, Witcher 3, might hit similar. Okay, when I decided to add the tie-in segment, I mocked Steam and its tendency to recommend sequels when you like a game. Of course I'm going to like it. It's the same series, Gaben. So feel free to have a go at me in the comments, but I feel that Monster Hunter Stories is different enough to warrant a mention here. Wings of Ruin is fantastic, and if you like the riding and mounting part of Monster Hunter Rise here, then Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin, it's a no-brainer. Admittedly, I do love turn-based combat. And until next time, I have been Septimus with the Grim Alliance, and you have been an amazing audience. I thank you.